Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Welcome to the 9th edition of the EU Film Festival. I am sitting here with Stefan Arsenijevic. Please help me.
It's very good. It's good.
All right, thank you. The director of the film, As Far As You Can Walk. This is the first session. This is one of the sessions of Meet the Directors. Welcome, Stefan. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting the film and me, and it's really a pleasure.
Thank you. I had the pleasure of watching the film. It's a piece that I really enjoyed.
Thank you.
And what I picked up is that it's very much in line with this year's theme, which is innocence and beyond. And it sort of blurs the lines between, you know, right and wrong, who's the victim, who's the victimizer, you know, in the immigrant stories. So my question would be, what was the message that you were just trying to put out there when you created this film?
Well, mostly I think it was about the migrants and refugees. First of all, maybe just shortly a backstory. I'm from Belgrade. This is Serbia. It used to be Yugoslavia. Then we had wars in the 90s, and now we have several different countries. And so I have this, you know, my own experiences of you know, war and poverty and everything. And then the migrant crisis started, and I could see a lot of people. My hometown Belgrade is on the so-called Balkan route, and really more than 1 million migrants went through it. And I could see every day a lot of exhausted and lost people, and I could really, you know, it reminded me very much on our wars in the 90s. So on the other hand, I was somehow in the media, the migrants were always portrayed as some statistics or some threat or some victims, and I don't think anybody wants to be either of that. You know, nobody wants to be statistic or threat or victim. So I just wanted to, you know, get to know these people a little bit more. And through their stories, I started a really long research. And through their stories, I slowly came up with this idea to make this film. My main message, as you would say, would be to somehow show the real human faces of these people. I mean, the normal, the fact that it could be, you know, you and me. The people are just in this terrible situation, and so my whole message was giving some more, I don't know, complex or intimate portrait of migrants, and somehow so that the audience can actually, my goal was that towards the end of the film that the audience could feel as, you know, they are one of them, and that it could happen to them. And actually in this world that we are living in, basically really it could happen to any of us. Okay. So my main idea was, so how to do that? My main idea was to create a love story. I'm very much into love stories, into movies. I like to watch it. One of my favorite films of all time is Casablanca, which is again a refugee story, if you think about it. And it was also directed by a Hungarian refugee director in Hollywood, Michael Curtis. Basically, at some point when I was making the film, people were telling me, who I asked for advice, they were telling me, but actually, you know, what is happening in the film, the problems of main characters, they have nothing to do with the problems of refugees. It's a love story that could happen to any of us. And that was actually my whole point and the reason of making this film, to you know, the migrants don't have to have only migrant problems. They could have also problems that are relating to love or personal growth, or I don't know. So something that any of us can relate to, and any of us had experienced already. Sorry, I talk too much.
No, it's fine. I think you're just explaining how you humanized, the migrants' experience, and I really personally enjoyed that. And just the love story, the fact that you get to see these people living their everyday lives. Just because we're in a war, that's not all we are. So I got that, and I get that sense. I got that sense when I watched it. Why did you choose to use a Ghanaian immigrant? Was that a deliberate choice? Because even his story, it's a love story. It has nothing to do with the war. But what was your deciding point, as a director?
It came actually, well, we were quite open to accommodate the story of these characters according to the actors we find. But originally in the script, he was from Ghana, and the reason is because I met one great young migrant from Ghana who when I was doing the research for the film, who was at that time living in a refugee camp in Serbia. His name is Ibrahim Ishak, and unlike most of the migrants I met, they want to go to the West, to the Western Europe, which is more rich country. Our country is very developing, but he really wanted to stay, and he wanted to become a football player, but he couldn't play official matches until he gets the asylum. The getting the asylum was a very long process. He was volunteering at the Red Cross and learning the language and doing everything he can in order to get this asylum as soon as possible. And he had such an enthusiasm for my country, and I thought that was very interesting. And of course, when you live somewhere, you're very critical towards it. And that was actually the model that we built our main character on. We were very much inspired by his story, and then all of the things that I mentioned are happening to our main character in the film. So, but our main actor is actually has roots from Mali. Ibrahim Koma. His parents are both from Mali, and he was born in Paris. I did a very long casting process to find the right actor for that. I was really looking for an actor for like a year, and then when I found him, I was so happy because this actor had to really carry the whole film on his shoulder. He's in every scene. The whole film is about him. So when we found him, then I found the leading actress, which is Nancy Mensah-Ofei. She is from Ghana, but as a teenager she moved to Austria. Now she's living in Austria and Germany. So then, when we realized who the cast is, we decided to model actually the story to adapt to them. So in our film, he is from Mali, but they both met in Ghana, and they came to Europe together. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just going to the technical parts of your film. What technical decisions, choices? I noticed that there's no music. So what emotions were you trying to get from your audiences? What was that decision? Why no music? And your style of film, why that style, and why does it work here in this particular film?
Well, I hope it works. Thank you. My first idea was to actually, instinctively, I had the feeling that this story, usually I like very stylized films, but with this story, I had the feeling that I should somehow be as authentic and as true to the real life as possible. I had a feeling if I go some stylization, it could feel fake, and I could kind of, it's more like my commentary to the story. Anyway, for this particular story, I really had a feeling we should be. So we had a handheld camera that is very usual style of camera in the documentary. And as for the music, to be quite honest, I'm very terrible with music. I have no sense for music at all, and I never know how to explain what I need from the composer. We had a wonderful composer from Lithuania. It's a co-production with Lithuania. I tried explaining him many things. He tried many things. I applied this. I tried it with the film, but somehow whenever I was putting a music to the picture that we shot, it felt fake. It felt like I'm trying to build up an emotion to push it artificially. And then at the end of the day, we decided not to use it. At the end credits, there is a beautiful theme that the composer wrote, at least something. But maybe it's something very subjective. Maybe I'm wrong, but I had the feeling that, and I asked several people in the editing room when we were trying out things, and then we decided to have this, to give up on music. If you think about it, also in this middle part of the film, when he is alone, there is also very little dialogue. We have some like 20 minutes or so of film without any dialogue, which was very challenging for me as a director.
Can I just say that when I watched it without those moments you're talking about, I ran to my remote control and I was bringing up the audio because I thought I'd lost volume. And I was like, no, actually, it's a quiet space. And I think that's for your audiences, that for me, watching the film, I felt the absence just made it feel a little bit lonely. I felt I was experiencing the actors or the characters' emotions, the space, that emotional, that void, walking in those vast fields with nothing. So I think to a certain degree, the absence of music worked.
Thank you. That was exactly what we were aiming to. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So just coming from Serbia, South Africa way back in apartheid times, I think it was a very difficult time to make films. What is your experience? I know that you're 45, and I saw that some of your films from way back, you got quite a lot of awards. And so I know that you started making films at an early age. How was that experience for you during those turbulent times making film?
Oh yeah, that was very turbulent when I started. Actually, if I think about it, I think always the turbulent times are really not good for films, because film usually needs budget and money. But on the other side, it's a very creative. I remember I was, maybe because I was young as well, but I was very inspired by the fact that we had these very difficult times, and there were so many things I wanted to say somehow. So luckily today, the making film is easier. When I was very young, this digital technology was not really working, but now you can basically make a film with your mobile phone and to have a really quite good quality in a way. So I think, if you live in this societies or times that are very difficult and exciting, it's not the best for your life, but for sure it's good for art. And I'm somehow quite convinced that these hard times can really, it's like a shell, making a pearl out of it. If you are, it's like making, processing what you experienced and making it into something that is film, and that could be more universal, and that could talk to other people about it. So yeah.
All right. So finally, what would you want the audiences to take away from this film from As Far As I Can Walk? And I know that it came out last year. So what sort of feedback are you getting from people that have lived this experience that you're portraying on your film?
Usually people who've been through it, they appreciate it and they like it, and I'm very grateful. What was also very grateful, very helpful in the shooting, all the extras that you see and some small roles in the film, they are portrayed by a real migrants that we engaged from different refugee camps in Serbia. So, all the time we really wanted to keep it authentic and to be true to what it really is. On the other hand, it's a love story, and it's I think I would say, I don't know, it's complex love story, and I think I was traveling with the film a lot, and then talking with the audience afterwards, and then very often there is a discussion after the film and people are taking sides to one character or another. This is something that I really love. What we tried with this love story is not to, we wanted to keep things pretty much a lot of time in a film open, so as a viewer you can fill in the blanks and put your own experiences emotional in it. So I'm really more than happy when I hear people discussing and taking sides or understanding and giving arguments to one or another side. Me personally, I understand all of my characters, and I think it's the filmmaking and storytelling is about making this stories where it's not easy to take side and you don't know really what to think, and where everybody is right, but
they're also wrong.
but they're also but there is some tragedy.
I couldn't decide who was right and who was wrong and who I liked the most. But it's a beautiful piece of work. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Everybody who gets a chance to sit and watch it will draw quite a lot from it, the love side of things and just the immigrant story, although it's not as pronounced, but it really speaks volumes.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
Stefan. Thanks for your time.
And thank you.
We will be watching you soon.
I hope. Thank you.
All right then. Thanks.